Oh, we back.
Back.
Review Realm's back over Zoom because we're in the pandemic era right now. But I mean, I kind of like recording this way anyway.
It's kind of cool. I like the new background. John looks like he works for Team Rocket with his background.
So, as you can see, we got all three members of the Review Realm that have worked for the channel are all here, and we're here for our first album review of 2020. I think it's a really important album for this band, given what they've gone through. This is the Ghost Inside self-titled, and this is their first album in 6 years, and it's their first album after their very, very bad bus accident they had in 2015. So if you go back to that day, I think it was November 19th, 2015, you had this awful accident in Texas that killed both drivers.
The bus rolled, right?
Yeah, the bus smashed right into an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
And so that both drivers dead. The drummer loses his leg in the process. The singer broke both of his ankles, had to learn to walk again.
Yep.
And it was awful for this band. So they recently just started coming back last year. So it took them 4 years to get back to normal.
Well, they had to learn how to play again.
Yeah.
You know, it was like an entire recovery. It's an entire recovery process, like for this band. So they had to learn how to replay their instruments. Their drummer is still the same drummer, right?
Yeah, same drummer. So he had to learn how to play drums again with one leg.
Right. I'm not sure if he has like a prosthetic or something.
He does.
Yeah. So he's playing with like obviously his leg and then his prosthetic, which is pretty incredible because he probably had to completely learn again how to play the drums.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
he has Rick Allen scenario from Def Leppard.
Exactly. He has a special kit set up for him because he only has one leg now.
Yeah.
So he had to learn how to play that way. But honestly, with this album, it sounds like they never left. It sounds like nothing ever happened to him. But
the album is like very, very, very good. And this band is like kind of odd because I feel like this band is like classified, and I don't know if this band is kind of almost hardcore. Like the whole time I was listening to the record, it's really crazy the diversity that you get in the hardcore scene now. And it's something that you didn't really get before. Like, I feel like this is kind of a new thing. Really incredible kind of melodic sections. And they have, this is one of the parts that was, the coolest for me for the entire album because it's not very long.
The album, I think, is about 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's 37 minutes or something like that. Manages to do a lot in that amount of time. The highlights for me, I think, what was the third track on that? Is it Outcast?
Yes.
Real good.
Mm-hmm.
Real good. And that song does a really great job of demonstrating that the heavy with that super amazing clean section at the end. They do that a few times during the album. That's just good writing. You know, we live in a time where, guitar players just get more and more insane as we go on. And I kind of like listening to records like this because it just goes back to good writing.
With a lot of bands, with me, when a tragedy strikes a band, it's not that I want, the tragedy to happen or anything like that. I would never want that. But I'm always interested to see what kind of stuff they write after the fact. With this album, it's really not about that day of the accident. It's really, what I got is that it's really about the past 5 years for them. And the recovery for them, and you get a lot of positivity in that recovery from this album, like Still Alive, I think Make or Break, and Phoenix Rise, a lot in Begin Again, a lot in Aftermath, but then you get a lot of frustration in this album too, from because I can't imagine having to learn to walk again, to play instruments again, and everything that. Definitely on Pressure Point, I got you could tell he was pissed on that song, and the whole band probably having to learn how to do everything again.
Especially when it's something that you hold not only as your livelihood but also
passionate about.
Yeah, it's like a part of them. And this was the one thing that I wondered about this band, is if this accident would be what defines their career now. And I don't mean that in an insensitive or an insensitive way, but like,
Right.
is this band forever going to be the band that survived the bus accident? If so, how will that A, be reflected in the material? Because obviously it was a horrific event, but also how would it affect their fan base? There was a huge amount of support for this band after this happened, and rightfully so. I mean, it's unimaginable how to move forward and have to rebuild after seeing something so absolutely just devastating. My curiosity was how the record was going to be received. I mean, I anticipate that it's being received very, very well from what I've read. You know, it was nice. It's nice to see so many people get back on board and support them, because they obviously need it.
There's stuff like that stuck out. Still Alive, Outcast, Make or Break. One thing that I as I was listening to the album yesterday, there was I think One Choice came up, and I'm listening to this. I'm like, wow, this is totally like single. Like, this sounded like it was a single just to sell the record, and it wasn't the single that they released.
Yep.
It definitely, I think it sounded more for me. That track just sounded like hey, we're gonna place this in here so we can like sell this down the road once it's out. But I thought it was for somebody who doesn't listen to a lot of hardcore metalcore, I thought it wasn't bad. It wasn't, it was pretty solid. I don't think for them, they'll be known as that band that, survived a bus accident. Some of the greatest bands out there, after tragedies, blow up even bigger. Like I said, like, honestly, Guilty Pleasure, Def Leppard, Rick Allen just, rips his arm off in a car accident. They released Hysteria, like probably one of the best-selling records of the 80s. As long as they do solid stuff like this, I mean, it definitely will open them up to, a larger fan base.
I think so too.
And I don't think the bus accident will hinder them. I don't say hinder them, but they won't. I don't think they'll be known for that. The other thing I can kind of sympathize a little bit, because you guys know, I have a hand injury from high school where I ripped my hand open, and I've never really picked up a guitar after that. And if I do play, or even like I said, I held my 11-pound nephew after a week, and my hand was aching. So I can only imagine. Yeah, they can play again and whatnot, but over time that that can deteriorate, and it becomes frustrating that you can't do things like that. So I'm hoping for them, at least they get to make the best out of it while they have everything now.
When I listen to this album, it sounds like they never left. It sounds like it kind of sounds like that. The accident, it didn't happen. And what's one interesting thing I found is that the last song on the album, Aftermath, which I think was the first single, Aftermath was written before that accident even happened.
Really?
Yeah, and it's really eerie how they fit it into this album.
It's almost like a return back to normal by the end of the record. That's incredible to me that song was already pre-written, and that's how they end the record. I think that's really fascinating. I think it fits.
And I think this album doesn't really suffer from the typical hardcore like preconceived notion of kind of like stuff like songs like kind of sounding the same. Yeah. Maybe a little bit monotonous and everything like that. I don't think this album suffers from that.
No, it doesn't, and that kind of bounces back to the good songwriting aspect of it. Like these guys are very good at what they do. They just do exactly like what the genre needs. Almost like they're such a breath of fresh air, and this record upholds that. The tone is just absolutely crushing. I mean, it's exactly it's the things that you would expect in elements from hardcore with added almost elements of metalcore, and again, just good ideas. I don't think it oversteps its boundary in the sense that it tries to do too much, and I don't think it tries to do too little. I think it just absolutely nails it.
Yeah, I think this is an important time, very important time for this band. It's good to see them back. It's something I've been looking forward to for a while. I think they did an excellent job for it.
The background's making your ear look like it has a red rocket.
When Sam was sipping the beer, it was like the beer was fusing into his head. Yeah. But that's our thoughts on the Ghost Inside's new self-titled album. What did you think of the album? Do you think the band, delivered on, the long wait, I guess, that fans have been waiting for? Let us know in the comments section. We got plenty more reviews like this coming for you throughout 2020. Some in person, some in Zoom. And we'll see what happens. But thanks for watching.
Find us on OnlyFans.
Subscribe to my Snap
OnlyFans review realm.
Subscribe to my Snap Premium. All of our reviews are on Snap Premium.
I'm ending the video on that.